Once upon a time, there was a beautiful kingdom with mountains and rivers all around it. The king was strong and wise. The queen lived with him. She was soft-hearted and kind. They had a daughter named Princess Aisha. Princess Aisha was only 5 years old, but her manners and love won everyone's heart. The people in the palace said, "Our princess is like a fairy, beautiful and kind." Every morning, the princess would pick flowers in the palace garden, run after little butterflies, and go to her mother and say, "Mama Queen, look how beautiful this flower is." The queen would smile and say, "My princess is the most beautiful of all." But at that time, the queen was going to have a baby. Everyone in the palace was celebrating, but the queen had a hidden fear. One evening, as the sun was setting, the king stood on his balcony and, looking up at the sky, said, "This time a prince will definitely be born, our heir." The queen stayed quiet. She wondered, "Will the king be angry with me if I don't have a son?" She said a small prayer. "Whatever happens, my child will be safe." The queen had a special maid in the palace. This maid stayed with her all the time. She took care of her, brought her medicine, water, and food. This maid was also going to have a baby. The queen trusted her completely because she was very loyal and good. The two women shared everything with each other. The maid would say, "Queen, everything will be fine. God is with you." The queen would say with a slight smile, "Just pray that everyone stays safe." Days passed, and the baby's birth time was getting close. One night, the wind blew a little harder in the palace. The sky was full of clouds. A lamp flickered in the queen's room. A little while later, a small cry came from inside the palace. The queen gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The queen looked at the baby. Tears filled her eyes. She said in a soft voice, "Oh God, what will happen now? The king wanted a prince." She shook with fear. Just then, the maid was in the other room, and she too had given birth. It was a boy. When the queen learned about this, she called for the maid. The queen cried, "Maid, please listen to me. If the king finds out that a baby princess has been born, he will kill my innocent daughter. You have a baby boy. Please, for God's sake, switch the babies." The maid stared at the queen in shock. "My queen, how can this be?" The queen cried, "I will save my princess. I will give you anything you want, but please go away from this kingdom." The maid thought, "I will lose the baby, but I will save my queen's princess." She quietly switched the babies. The queen placed gold coins in a small chest and gave it to the maid. The queen said, "Never come back after this night. Make my princess your daughter." Tears filled the maid's eyes. She lifted the baby princess onto her shoulder. She took her little hand and quietly left the palace. Only the queen and the maids in the palace knew what had happened. When the sun rose in the morning, the king got the news. "Congratulations! A healthy prince has been born." The king jumped for joy. "Finally, our son has been born." Drums beat in the palace. Songs and dances broke out. There was joy everywhere. Princess Aisha was also excited. "Queen Mama, I want to see the baby." The queen smiled and said, "Yes, my princess. Look, your brother, Prince Zayn." Aisha looked at the baby and said, "Such a beautiful baby. I will take care of him." The queen placed her hand on his head, but her sadness stayed in her heart. The king held a grand royal party. People from all over the kingdom came. The palace was decorated with gold, candles, and flowers. Dance performances began. Beautiful girls performed royal dances, and everyone congratulated the king. The king proudly announced, "This prince's name will be Prince Zayn." Everyone clapped. The queen took the prince in her lap. She smiled, but her eyes were filled with tears. Her heart said, "Zayn is not of my own blood, but my prayers will be with him." Meanwhile, the maid ran away from the palace in the dark of night. She crossed the forest and stopped in a small village far away. She looked at the baby princess and said lovingly, "Now you are my daughter. Your name will be Zara." The maid took Zara in her arms and began a new life. Zara spent her days playing in the fields, playing with flowers, and laughing with the villagers. One day when she came back home, she saw peacock feathers lying on the ground. Zara picked them up and began playing with them. The maid was scared. "Where did these feathers come from?" Zara asked. She laughed and said, "They're beautiful. I'm playing a game with them." But when the maid looked closer, she saw something strange. A small peacock feather was marked on Zara's hand, shining in the golden light. The maid was amazed. Her heart began to beat fast. She said calmly, "Oh, my princess is a beautiful peacock." They both looked at each other, and a small smile appeared on the maid's face. She hugged Zara and said, "You're not just my daughter, you're a magical princess." Years passed, seasons changed. Sometimes it rained, sometimes it snowed. Sometimes colorful flowers bloomed in the palace gardens. Over time, Prince Zayn and his sister, Princess Aisha, grew up. Now, Princess Aisha was 18 years old. Her face was as bright as the morning sun. Every morning she would come out to her beautiful balcony where the air smelled like flowers. Princess Aisha would pick up her flute and begin to play. The sound of her flute was so beautiful that it seemed like the sky itself was smiling. She would play the flute and wish everyone would be happy with this melody. The sound of her flute could be heard throughout the kingdom, bringing peace to people's hearts. Every morning her playing made the day even more beautiful. The people of the kingdom would say, "Our Princess Aisha's flute playing brings blessings to the whole palace." Princess Aisha was soft-hearted, kind, and polite. She never forgot to thank every servant. Every morning she would feed the birds and water the flowers in the garden. Prince Zayn, on the other hand, had now become a young and handsome prince. His face looked royal, with confidence in his eyes and adventurous spirit in his heart. Every morning he would go to his beautiful horse, place his hand on its head, and say, "Oh, Florida, come here, my friend. Oh, Florida, come here, my friend." The horse would neigh happily and run around Zayn. The prince loved birds very much. He didn't keep them in cages. He painted them, fed them, and called them friends of my palace. His paintings were all over the walls, colorful, full of life. Now, on the other side, in a small village far away, Zara had grown up. She had become a beautiful girl with a special glow on her face. Zara worked in the fields all day long. Her maid, who had now become her mother, was always with her. They would work together, picking flowers and laughing and talking with each other. Whenever Zara touched a flower, it would shine even brighter. She had a strange magic. Sometimes, as she ran through the fields, beautiful peacock feathers would come out from her body and sparkle in the air. Her mother would see this and smile, thinking, "My princess is not just a human being, but a magical creation." Sometimes, Zara would stand alone in the field and dance like a peacock. There was grace in her movements and shine in every step. Mother would watch from far away and say, "My daughter is a magician." But every time she danced, Mother would tell her, "Zara, remember, never go to the kingdom. There's only danger there." Zara would nod and say, "Okay, Mother, I won't go now." And so Zara held back her heart, but the story wasn't over yet. The prince, on the other hand, still had the golden feather. Every day he went to the forest, but the peacock was nowhere to be seen. His heart was filled with sadness. He sat alone in his room, staring at the feather. His eyes thought back to the day he had first talked to the peacock. At night, when everyone was asleep, he looked at the painting he had made of the peacock on his table. With a slight smile, he said, "I wish I could see you again." One day, as he sat sadly in his room, Princess Aisha came in. Princess Aisha said, "Zayn, you didn't go to the forest today." Prince Zayn softly replied, "No, I don't want to go today. That peacock is nowhere to be found, and I can't forget her. No, my heart doesn't want to. That peacock is nowhere to be found, and I can't forget her." Princess Aisha looked with surprise. "A talking peacock? You love her." Prince Zayn smiled and said, "Perhaps her words, her smile, everything touched my heart." Princess Aisha laughed and said, "You've gone crazy. Come, let me help you. We'll find her." They both mounted their horses and rode off towards the forest. Princess Aisha began playing her flute, the same flute whose tune was famous throughout the kingdom. Meanwhile, Zara, who was on her farm, heard the flute's beautiful voice. Her heart began to beat fast. Forgetting her mother's words, she turned into a peacock and ran towards the forest. She ran so fast that she quickly reached the spot where Prince Zayn and Princess Aisha were standing. As soon as Zayn saw her, he shouted with joy, "You've come!" He ran forward and caught her. The peacock said, "Let me go, please." But the prince said, "No, I won't let you go this time." He took her to the palace and had a beautiful room built for her. That night, when the prince came to give her dinner, he saw a beautiful girl standing in the room. He was shocked. "Who are you?" The girl cried, "I am that peacock." Zayn, not believing her, said, "You're lying. How could such a beautiful girl be a peacock?" But when he saw her golden peacock feather mark, he understood. A voice from his heart said, "Whoever you are my beloved peacock." He looked at her and smiled a little. On the other side, Zara's mother noticed that it was night, and she hadn't come back yet. Her heart filled with fear. She searched everywhere for her, but when she couldn't find her anywhere, she rushed to the palace crying. There she fell before the queen and said, "Queen, the daughter you gave me years ago is lost." The queen, shocked, asked, "What are you saying?" The maid began crying and told the truth. That baby was the Peacock Princess. Princess Aisha, listening from behind, opened her eyes wide. She said, "That peacock was my sister." Her heart filled with sadness, and without thinking, she ran towards the palace garden where Zara was. Princess Aisha hugged her and crying said, "My sister, my Peacock Princess." Zara was shocked. "Am I really a princess?" Princess Aisha led her to the queen and said, "Mama, here is your daughter." The queen's tears filled up. She hugged Zara and said, "Forgive me, my daughter. I was just a mother who was scared." Just then the king came. Guilt was written on his face. He said, "Because of me, my daughter was away from me for years." Princess Zara ran and hugged the king and said, "Father, everything is fine now." The king cried and said, "Now I have 2 daughters. Both are my pride." Prince Zayn smiled and said, "No, father, I only have 1 sister. You, Princess Aisha, this is my Peacock Princess." "No, father, I only have 1 sister. You, Princess Aisha, this is my Peacock Princess." Everyone laughed. The queen decided to marry them, Prince Zayn and Princess Zara. Joy filled the whole kingdom. At night, the palace was filled with lights and songs. There was dancing, smiles, and celebration everywhere. Princess Zara stood on the balcony. Moonlight fell on her face. She looked into the distance. The breeze was touching her hair. Just then, Prince Zayn came and said softly, "What are you thinking, my Peacock Princess?" Zara smiled. "I'm just thinking about it. I fell in love with a peacock. What a strange thing that is." Zayn laughed and said, "Love is never strange, it's just beautiful." They looked at each other, smiled a little, and on a moonlit night, from the kingdom's balcony with the breeze, their love story lived forever.